For people who do really enjoy travel, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that within a budget? How do you navigate that, in a lot of ways, where there's your time as well. If you're an entrepreneur and you're traveling, you're not making money, possibly, depending on what type of business you have. I mean, hopefully you have a scaled business that makes money when you're not there. But if you are really kind of the lifeblood of your business and you need to be present to make money, then, there's a money component there that you have to think of too, because there's not only the cost of travel, but there's the cost of you not working for a period of time.
Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today.
Hello. Welcome to the Money and You Show. I'm your host, Michelle Perkins, and CEO and founder of Limit Free Life. You can check out limitfreelife.com to find out about the services that we provide in the areas of financial literacy, building your relationship with money, career coaching, and also small business coaching for entrepreneurs. And we do many things at Limit Free Life. And one of the main things that we love to do is help people to understand their relationship with money and build on that and improve that relationship. And certainly to learn financial management skills and to really broaden their education and, most importantly, build your confidence and sense of empowerment around financial matters. And the earlier, the better you can do that. It'll make a huge difference in your life, and it will allow you things like being able to build a successful business or change your career. So having this relationship with money is such a foundational, important piece of the puzzle of your life, and comes into play, whether you like it or not, with all of life. I mean, money is just a factor in so many of the decisions we make, almost all of them actually, and how we live our lives. So my goal, my mission really with this is to help people have a broader understanding, not only about money, but about themselves and money, because that's really where it all takes place, is within you. You will make decisions based on your own ideas, beliefs, thoughts, feelings around money. And that won't necessarily have anything to do with the knowledge that you have around money. So we want to understand that first, because your decision making is very emotional around money. And we want to actually be able to observe ourselves and know when we're making an emotional decision before we make it, and deciding, is that a good idea or not? And it's fine if it is, but we want to be that in touch with ourselves, that understanding of, oh yeah, when I think about doing this with money, I get a little bit of a stomach ache, or I get excited, and I make maybe an automatic decision, a yes or no, based on a feeling in your body or an idea in your head or some messaging that somebody else gave you years and years ago. And we want to make sure that we are listening to ourselves and self-aware enough to know how our decision-making around money is being made. And one of the big things, it's Memorial Day. I'm casual. I hope that this is going to be just a casual, easy conversation about vacation, actually, because vacations trigger emotion in many ways when it comes to money. So most of us love a good vacation, but it can also stress people out. People have the difficult decision of, should I go, or should I save that money and do something else with it? Should I pay off my debt with that money, or should I go on vacation? It gets very complicated, actually, not for everybody, but for a lot of people. And then there's the question of what type of vacation. It is Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day. And thank you to all of those who have served and who we are remembering today. And I just want to, it's the start of summer too. This Memorial Day is actually supposed to be a very busy one. And this summer is expected to be an enormously busy travel summer. So I thought it was a good time to talk about travel and either being very fiscally careful with your travels or not, and just thinking that through and kind of getting to know your relationship with money in this arena. How do you feel about traveling? Do you feel you deserve to travel? Do you feel like you must travel? I mean, everybody has a relationship with travel. For some people, it's literally what they live for. I have that dream on my wall. And for not most, but for many, many people, their dream is always about travel. Someday when I stop working and retire, I'm going to just travel the world. Or others say, I'm not going to wait until I'm old. I'm going to travel now because I'm young and I can enjoy it. So travel is such an interesting thing. It really lights a lot of people up. And then there are people who actually don't really enjoy travel. So we're not really speaking to them right now. We'll talk about something else with them. But for people who do really enjoy travel, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that within a budget? How do you navigate that, in a lot of ways, where there's your time as well. If you're an entrepreneur and you're traveling, you're not making money, possibly, depending on what type of business you have. I mean, hopefully you have a scaled business that makes money when you're not there. But if you are really kind of the lifeblood of your business and you need to be present to make money, then, there's a money component there that you have to think of too, because there's not only the cost of travel, but there's the cost of you not working for a period of time. So I thought it would be fun to just dig into the idea of travel, and making it as, financially aligned with your lifestyle as you can, how we might be able to save money on travel, and just how to think about it. And I think it's a worthwhile thing when you're building a budget or a spending plan or whatever you want to call it. This is a big deal. You have to factor in your love of travel or your interest in going to certain places into your budget, really from the beginning. If you can do that at the beginning of the year when you're thinking ahead, that is the best. Planning to save for travel is the best way to travel. And I know the other way to do it, because I used to just put trips on credit cards and go and just, cross my fingers and hope for the best. Usually worked out okay, but it does potentially set you back for a few months, depending on how things go after. If you have your own business and you're expecting that, I'll be fine, I'll pay it off, I know this revenue is coming in, and then it doesn't come in, you've got all this on your credit card. So it's not the smartest way to go. So I would kind of advise to think about your travel early in the year and plan and save, and actually know what you're planning to spend as well. Not everybody does that. Sometimes people go and they don't really have parameters around what they're going to spend. So very important to budget your travel, to figure out what it's going to cost for, hotels, how much you're going to allow yourself to spend on food every day, or sightseeing or shopping, whatever it is that you want to do. It is a worthwhile exercise to think these things through. And I think a lot of times we don't get into the specifics and the details as much. So here are a few ways. I did look up a few different things that some of the travel experts out there talk about. This is supposed to be a very big travel season, and the price of travel is up, but they say it's slightly down from last year, so that's good. The essential expenses people need to think about: transportation, airfare, hotels, accommodations, and food. If you are a credit card user, using your points for travel is an excellent idea. So research that, figure out with the credit cards you have, what you can do. I usually can buy my airfare with my American Express points, which I love to do. I use my American Express a lot for that purpose, so that I'll build up my points and be able to use that for airfare. So that can actually be fun for people to do. And maybe you don't love to do it, but you have somebody else in your family who likes to play with points and figure out how to optimize that. You can always get them to be the points guy in your family. There are a lot of points experts on social media as well who can teach you quite a bit, actually. So, here are a few ideas. Traveling in the off season was one, which I actually like to travel in the off season. You get less crowds. Sometimes you get better weather. I mean, the weather has been very hot in places like Europe in the summer. And so actually, kind of switching up the travel time can be very smart. Credit card travel rewards, we talked a little about that. And, all the different cards offer different benefits and rewards packages. So, think about how you like to travel and what airlines you might like to use, things like that. This is a little tip somebody just gave me. Apparently there is a new airline, and I don't know anything about this. I'm just sharing it with you because I just literally heard this morning, but something called French BEE, that's going to be taking people to Paris from various locations, including the United States, for like $199. So I don't know very much about it, but I'll pass that on and you can do your own research. That sounded interesting. There's so many. I mean, if you want to travel and you plan early enough, that's really how you save money, because you can find out about all kinds of things going on and take advantage of it. You have the time to do the research, and there's so much information on the internet about travel. Exchanging your currency before you travel, that is a good way to save money, actually. So think through how much you're going to need in actual cash. And I like to call my banks and my credit card companies too, to let them know I'm traveling, because you don't want things being turned down because they think it's fraud, because it's, charges that are unusual are coming through. Some banks, use the cards where you won't incur extra bank fees for international travel as well. That can be problematic. So you definitely can find ways to save money on bank fees or exchange rate fees. Packing light, that was another big suggestion. I like to pack light because I might want to buy things and then I have room for them. But, that can be very helpful too. Your luggage won't be heavy, so bag fees won't be terrible. And it makes life easier when you pack light. And let's see, take advantage of free attractions. There are all kinds of free attractions all over the world that you can take advantage of, museums that are free or whatever. So do that research. There are also ridiculously amazing apps now for travel. So you can make a lot of things easier with these apps. You can find better deals. I downloaded something called Tours by Locals, which I think is a Canadian company that helps you find, it's almost like an Airbnb-ish kind of app where individual people will take you on tours of their cities or, all kinds of cool things. And you're just paying a person to escort you around and take you on different kinds of excursions and trips and tours. And that can be a really fun way to go. So walking and using public transportation is great. There's a real resurgence in rail travel, taking trains places. And there are some great sites out there. There was one, what did I write down here? What was it? Shoot. Maybe I didn't write it down. Anyway, if you look up train travel, there are some luxury train excursions all over the world now, and taking trains is fun. So I would definitely look into reasonable train travel. I recently saw something that was for $9. That was just a fabulous looking trip, and yeah, so I'm not being very specific here. My apologies, but that's a great way to go. And when you're traveling, walking, bicycling, all of these things, taking the train, taking the subway, you really do get a much better feel for the place, and it's the cheaper way to go. So I think public transportation is much more reasonable in terms of expense, and it's a great way to really get to know a place. So there are many websites and apps, like I said, that can be a great help in saving money. Of course, there's Airbnb. We all know about that one. You might find some things on Groupon. And there are many, many apps that have, ways to find deals. So these are all out there. There are some things that you do want to do. You want to download WhatsApp. That is a great app to have while you're traveling so you can communicate, and that will save you money as well. Saving money on food. There are wonderful ways to save money on food, including just going to local grocery stores. And now they say that the train stations are really being kind of up-leveled with great food options. So packing snacks and, going to local grocery stores, bring a reusable water bottle. That was a tip in one of the articles, which is a great idea. I'm actually going to do that. And so making a travel budget, preparing for your trip financially, that allows you to really plan your expenses and try to not overspend. And the Rocket Money mobile app, which I have, is also a great option. And that has many, many ways to manage your finances and track things while traveling. You might even you can put in a spending limit and it will alert you when you've hit it. So that's a good app for sure. There were some other ideas like house swapping. That has been done by many people that I know. And it's actually, it's kind of a cool way to go. There were a couple of sites that you can use for that home swapping. There was Twin City and Kindred, which both sounded very interesting. The Twin City was 4 cities that have a twin in another country, like Los Angeles and Lisbon apparently are twin cities. And there are people on that app who you can swap with. Apparently on TikTok, there's a lot going on with house swapping as well. So if you use hashtag house swap or, trade housing, you will get some interesting ideas there. I have not done that, but one of the articles I read said that was a big trending thing on TikTok. There are also ways that you can put groups together now. There's a group travel options. If you Google that, you'll find apps and groups for that, which is kind of cool because you can get a family or a group of people together and do a group trip with a whole itinerary and everything for the group. There's another trending thing that I thought was really interesting was something called silent travel. That's a new trend. So you go places and you can literally everything is silent. So you can just get away from all the noise in the world and all the social media and all the everything and do these silent trips. And those are actually planned. And there are hotels that are like, quieter and ways of traveling that are quieter and more sort of silent things that you do on the trips, like hiking and in silence. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I sort of wanted to research that a little bit more. I myself am going on a retreat with women to literally learn French textile art. And that is going to be in the south of France. And I'm super excited about that. And that was an all-inclusive trip, which for me is kind of cool because, you pay the package price and your accommodations, your food, the activities, everything you're going to be doing, the transportation is paid for. So I don't usually do all exclusive things. I know people who do, and that is also a way to save money because it just, it's already spent. And in your mind, I think you kind of restrict yourself a little bit because you don't want to kind of go over that. You've already budgeted for that all-inclusive amount. And so then you're more conscious of spending outside of that. And I kind of like it because it's paid for. And I know anything else I do is an add-on, but I don't think I'll need to spend too much more than what I already have. And when I'm just kind of let loose in a place and I'm trying all these different restaurants and shopping and things like that, I just think I can easily go overboard where this is sort of, it's already kind of got its own boundaries around it. So kind of like that idea. It's new for me. So but I think it has big advantages. And many people do like trips like that, like cruises are kind of like that. And then you do have a lot more control over what you're spending, which I think can be a good thing. So let's talk about, really thinking through this travel idea when you're budgeting, when you're saving for trips, because there are obviously the big trips that are expensive and maybe you're flying to other countries or whatever. But there are so many amazing day trips too, or weekend trips that you can do really on a budget. You can drive, you can really, you can stay in an Airbnb, or you can find many ways to save money on smaller trips. And they do still cost. I mean, sometimes a small trip is surprisingly expensive, actually. I mean, you can, go to Aspen for a weekend, or you can go to Santa Fe for a weekend, and it'll be a great trip. But, you can kind of anticipate that you're still going to spend a lot, even though it's not a really huge sounding trip. Or you think in terms of time, well, it's only a weekend. Well, sometimes those weekends end up being, extremely expensive. So it isn't really a matter of time. It's a matter of where you go and what you do. And, but I would suggest when you're planning your budget for the year that you try to factor in not only the big vacations, but the smaller ones as well, so that you have the wiggle room to take them, because you're going to want to. I mean, planning a big trip is one thing, but if you can have a lot of small trips throughout the year, that is really rejuvenating and really great. And to plan for those, and some of them cost very little. I just went to, a little town called Ojai, which is only about we have traffic, so it was about 90 minutes. It's typically an hour from where I live. And honestly, it was a great day. It felt like a vacation, driving up there and just going to lunch and shopping and going around and doing odd things there, like a honey tasting at a honey shop. And it was really fun and very, very inexpensive, except for all the honey I bought. So I think that it is very important to plan out not only the money, but the time for these little getaways, and to think to yourself, do I want to do something like that every month for the upcoming year? Do I want to make sure I get out of town and do something unique and different that re-energizes me or relaxes me or whatever it is? I think this is a huge part of life. And I really do think that you shouldn't just budget your regular anticipated expenses and leave this out, because this is an important part of enjoying your life, enjoying your money, having a good relationship with money. You work hard, you do all these things, and you want to be able to enjoy your money. So maybe you're fortunate enough to go on multiple large vacations a year, but if you're not, then, planning out these small ones and still budgeting for those is really fun. And it helps, when you do this at the beginning of the year, it really helps you set a great intention for the year to both work hard and have some playtime and some fun. And I think sometimes we forget that. So this is just a reminder to make sure to plan and to think about that, to enjoy the vacation. The last thing you want to do is be stressed on your vacation about the money that you're spending. So think about that. Look back on past vacations and ask yourself, have I gone on vacations and spent most of the time thinking, oh my gosh, what should I order on this menu? Should I be careful? Should I not? Should I, go on this excursion, or should I not? You want to have this stuff thought through and actually try, if you can, to save the money for it. So you don't have to have these big discussions in your head while you're on the vacation. It kind of detracts from the vacation. So you want to make the vacation as vacation-y as you possibly can, which means having the money part of it be organized and figured out before you go. That's a really important thing. And also just, what we also don't do is at the end of the year, we may or may not, I hope you do, look back and quantify what we spent on these kinds of days. It really is a great idea at the end of the year to say, you might remember the big vacation. You might remember, okay, I spent, X amount on this big vacation. I know what that is. That was a big amount. I have it in my head. But what about all the other weekend trips and smaller things that you did throughout the year? A lot of times we just sort of let those go. They fall into some sort of a miscellaneous category. So it's a really important idea to get really real with what you want to do with your money and time off. So go back and actually add up everything that you did while, on vacation for the weekend trips as well as the big trips. And really at the end of the year, have a true, honest number of what you enjoy spending during the year on vacations or days off doing things like vacation. It's important to know what that number is. Sometimes we don't want to know, so we don't. But if you know, you can budget in the next year for that amount or more. And if you're, if for whatever reason you've made a decision not to take a vacation because that money needs to go to something else, you just want to have an awareness of all of this when you're thinking. This is what helps you create a great relationship with money, is you and your money working together to create your life. So you and your money are working together to create these vacations. You and your money are working together to know what it is costing you to have your desired vacation scenario, whatever that is. So now that we're into summer, the vacations are going to start, and you're going to want to start asking yourself, okay, what is the plan? What is the plan for paying them off if maybe you haven't saved already for these upcoming vacations? What's the plan for budgeting how much you're going to spend? Maybe you've already bought your airfare and you know where you're staying. You can still think about, what is a good kind of per day budget for me while I'm in Paris or whatever it is. So still time, even if you've planned it and you haven't saved and you are thinking of putting a fair chunk of it on a credit card, you still have some control over what you're doing. And it's a good idea to think that through so that you aren't stressing on your vacation. That's really a big goal. It's not having a good relationship with your money if you're having a lot of stress that is money related while you're traveling. Okay, so I think that's the gist of it. There is a tremendous amount of information on how to save, on traveling and how to budget for it and everything else online. I would absolutely suggest, though, that if you're budgeting throughout the year, maybe you're using an app like Rocket Money, or you're using an app like Copilot, which I really like, really helps you to see your expenses and your spending and know whether you're up or down. And remember, if you set a budget at the beginning of the year and you are saving money, you're doing really well with your budget. You have a spending plan. You're staying underneath your spending plan, which is giving you a little excess money at the end of the month, which is kind of amazing for people. You always want to have an intention for that extra money. And maybe you're just maybe you do want that to go toward vacation. So then put it in a high yield savings account, or put it in an investment that keeps it somewhat liquid so it can earn its own money to help you go on this vacation. And those are great ways to just be paying attention and literally kind of siphoning off the savings when you're doing well with your spending and putting that in a vacation account. That's actually a great reward for good budgeting, is to put money in a vacation account and let it earn a little interest along the way. And then go enjoy yourself with it. And that's the other thing. When you're trying to save money and you're trying to be a really, good steward of your money, and you're trying to be a good financial person and manage it well, sometimes we actually have a lot of trouble parting with our money, even if it's for a vacation that we've been dreaming about. So allow yourself permission to use your money. People can go to extremes. They can be overspenders, but they can also be oversavers, where they save like crazy, but it's uncomfortable to ever use that money. And that is not really a good relationship with money either. You're working hard, you're saving, you're budgeting, you're doing all that so you have money to live your dreams and to do the things that you want to do. So allow yourself to do that and know that more money will be flowing in. That is the money you worked, the money flowed in, you're using it. Money is a constantly circulating flow. It's energy, it's flowing in, it's flowing out, and that's okay. We don't want to be hoarders with money as much as we want to be intelligent, emotionally intelligent savers and investors. But we also want to allow ourselves to enjoy our lives with our money. And believe it or not, that's a little bit of an emotional balancing act that we have to do. So important to write down some mantras and journal and think about how it is a good thing to use money for things like vacations that enrich your life, help you grow, help you be happier, teach you things, broaden your perspective. There's a lot of beautiful, positive things that come from travel and trying new things and having new experiences. So have that experience with your money as well. Take it along for the ride and allow it to be your support and your ally, which is what having a good relationship with money is all about, and enjoy yourself. Hope you enjoyed this show. We will be back next week, and we would love it if you would give us a review, share the podcast with your friends. We are really wanting to broaden the podcast and get it out there more to more people. So if you know anybody who wants a better relationship with money and just to learn a wide variety of financial topics, which we have many, many experts on the show talking about a vast variety of financial topics. So please share. And if you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me at michelle@limitfreelife.com or team@limitfreelife.com. Ask your questions. We will answer them on the show for you. And great to have you here. See you next week.